People love to talk about success like it's a lightning strike. Sudden, brilliant, lucky. They never talk about the hands that bled quietly in the dark long before the light arrived.
I remember the night the idea was born, not in a boardroom, not over champagne,
but at our old kitchen table, the one with the crooked leg we kept fixing instead of replacing because money was always tight, just for now. The house was quiet except for the hum of the refrigerator and the scratch of a pen against paper. My son sat across from me, eyes burning with hope and fear in equal measure. "What if it works?" he asked. I smiled, tired but certain. "Then we'll make it work." He had nothing then. No investors, no reputation, no safety net. What he did have was a dream too big for his experience and a belief that I would never let him fall. And I didn't. I poured my savings into that dream without hesitation. Retirement money, emergency funds, the kind of money people tell you to protect at all costs. But how do you put a price on your child's future? I didn't even think of it as a sacrifice at the time. It felt like love doing what love does best, showing up. Days turned into nights. Nights turned into months. While he talked vision, I handled reality. I wrote contracts while he slept. I negotiated with suppliers who wouldn't take him seriously. I made calls that went unanswered, sent emails that were ignored, sat through meetings where people smiled politely and dismissed us the moment we left the room. More than once, I watched him crumble. "I don't think I'm cut out for this," he whispered one night, head in his hands. I slid a cup of cold coffee toward him and said the words I would repeat for years. Dreams don't quit. People do, and you're not quitting, so he didn't. When the first prototype failed, I was the one who found the workaround. When the first investor backed out, I was the one who convinced the second. When legal trouble threatened to shut everything down before it began, I spent 3 nights straight drafting protections he barely glanced at. "Do we really need all this?" he asked, waving away the paperwork. One day, I said softly, "You'll be glad we did." He laughed then. A carefree, trusting laugh. "You worry too much." Maybe I did, or maybe I understood something he didn't yet. That success without structure is just luck waiting to run out. The company grew slowly at first, painfully slowly. Every dollar mattered. Every mistake hurt. I watched him learn how to speak like a leader, how to wear confidence even when he didn't feel it. I stood behind him in meetings, silent but steady, the invisible spine holding him upright. People began to notice him. They praised his brilliance, his vision, his courage. I never corrected them. I didn't need my name on magazine covers. I didn't need applause. I only needed to see him stand tall in a world that once doubted him. That was enough. Or so I thought. The first million came quietly. No celebration. Just a look of disbelief on his face as the numbers refreshed on the screen. He hugged me then tight, grateful, sincere. "We did it," he said. We. By the time the company hit 8 figures, the language changed. It became my team, my company, my future. I noticed it, of course, the way my role shifted from decision maker to advisor, then from advisor to afterthought. Meetings I once led were now optional for me. My suggestions were considered instead of implemented. Still, I stayed, because parents don't abandon their children when the world starts clapping for them. But something else changed to his tone. Where there had once been gratitude, there was impatience. Where there had once been trust, there was distance. And somewhere between success and pride, he stopped seeing my hands entirely. He saw only the dream. He forgot who built it. He didn't call me Mom anymore at work. That should have been my first warning. Instead, my calendar notification read, **10, 00 a.m., internal review meeting, **, no context, no explanation. Just a time and a room number I had never been invited to before. The conference room smelled like new furniture and expensive coffee. Glass walls, polished table, the kind of place built to make people feel small without saying a word. I arrived early, as I always had. Old habits die hard. He came in last. My son didn't look at me right away.
His eyes were glued to his tablet, jaw set in that familiar way he used when he was about to do something difficult, and didn't want to feel it.
2 people followed him, one from HR, one from legal. I recognized neither. "Thank you for joining us," he said, finally meeting my eyes for half a second before looking away again.
Joining us, I waited for the joke, for the smile, for him to say this was all a formality. It never came.
The HR representative slid a folder across the table toward me. My name was printed neatly on the front.
No nickname, no warmth, just ink. "We've conducted a strategic evaluation of company operations," she began, voice smooth and practiced. "Based on our findings, we've decided to restructure certain roles." Restructure. I turned to him. "What is this?" He exhaled slowly, like I was the one making this harder than it needed to be. "We don't need your services anymore," he said. "The company has outgrown this arrangement. And effective immediately," he continued, words tumbling out faster now, "your position is being terminated." For a moment, I genuinely thought I had misheard him. "Terminated?" I laughed softly. A reflex, a foolish, hopeful sound. "You're firing me." The word hung in the air between us, ugly and undeniable. He nodded once, no hesitation, yes. The room felt suddenly too quiet, too clean, like emotion had been scrubbed out of it entirely. "You built your company on passion," I said carefully, "on loyalty, on people who believed in you when no one else did." He stiffened. "This isn't personal," he replied quickly. "It's business, a business." The HR representative chimed in again. "We've prepared a severance package in recognition of your contributions. I opened the folder with hands steadier than I felt. A neat list, bullet points, numbers that couldn't begin to measure years of unpaid labor, sleepless nights, and quiet faith. No acknowledgement of ownership, no mention of legacy, just an exit strategy. "I'm being pushed out," I said. "No," he corrected. "You're being released Released like a liability. You're too emotionally involved," he added, finally looking directly at me now. "It clouds judgment. Investors don't like it. The board doesn't like it. And frankly, it's not good for the brand." The brand. I stared at him, searching for the boy who once asked me what would happen if he failed, the one who needed me. Trusted me, promised we'd do this together. I couldn't find him. "When did this decision happen?" I asked. His silence answered before his words did, a while ago. Of course it had. I stood slowly. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I simply nodded. "If that's all," I said, "I'll collect my things." As I walked back to my office, my office, the one I had chosen when this place was still dust and ambition, I felt eyes on me. Curious, uncomfortable, people pretending not to watch as the founder's parent was escorted out like a risk that had finally been mitigated. I packed quietly, old notebooks, photos from the early days, a chipped mug that said *World's Best Parent*, a joke gift he'd given me before success rewrote his sense of humor. Then I saw it, a thin folder, tucked behind a filing cabinet, untouched, unchanged. The label was faded, handwritten in my own ink. I froze. For a moment, I considered leaving it behind, proving I was the bigger person, but something deep inside me stirred. Not anger. Not revenge, memory. I slipped the document into my bag, not to hurt him, not yet. As I walked out of the building for the last time, the glass doors closed behind me with a final, hollow sound. He didn't follow. He thought it was over. He was wrong. Silence has a weight to it. It followed me home that evening, settling into every corner of the house like dust I hadn't noticed before. The walls felt larger, emptier, the same walls that once echoed with his excitement, his doubts, his late night calls when things went wrong, and he needed reassurance more than advice. I placed my bag on the table and didn't open it right away. The document stayed hidden, like it was holding its breath. I made tea, let it go cold, sat by the window and watched the sun sink lower, painting the sky in colors too calm for the storm building inside me. Strangely, I wasn't angry not yet. Anger is loud. What I felt was clearer than that. Disappointment. Not in the company, not even entirely in him, in the way success had taught him to forget. When I finally pulled the folder out, my hands trembled. Not from fear, but from memory. Every page carried my handwriting. Every clause had been written during nights he had slept peacefully, trusting me to guard what he didn't yet understand. I remembered the argument, "Why are you making this so complicated?" He had said back then, pacing the kitchen. "We need speed, not paperwork." And one day, I replied, refusing to look up from the page, "Speed will be the thing that breaks you if you don't slow down now." He had rolled his eyes, kissed my forehead, and said, "You worry too much." I smiled at the memory now. Softly, sadly, because this asterisk was why I worried. The document wasn't a weapon, it was a safeguard. A contingency he had brushed aside because it didn't sparkle like growth charts and headlines. It tied together ownership, intellectual property, and operational authority in ways that only mattered when trust disappeared. And trust had disappeared. I didn't call a lawyer that night. I didn't call him. I slept. For the first time in years, I slept without my phone beside me, without waiting for a crisis that needed fixing. Morning came gently, like it didn't know what was coming. Over the weekend, the world moved on as if nothing had happened. The company buzzed with anticipation, a major investor presentation, a board vote, press waiting for announcements that would push the valuation even higher. I knew the schedule because I had built it. I had set these milestones years ago. Monday wasn't just another day. It was a hinge. I spent Saturday organizing old files, emails, drafts, pieces of history that told a story no pitch deck ever would. I wasn't scrambling. I wasn't panicking. I was preparing the way I always had. Sunday evening, my phone lit up. His name, I let it ring, then again, then a message. Asterisk, we need to talk. Asterisk, I stared at the screen, then turned the phone face down. For once, he could wait, because what he had mistaken for weakness was patience. What he had dismissed as emotional involvement was foresight. And what he had fired so easily was the only person who truly knew where every line in that company began, and where it could end. I looked at the document one last time before placing it back into my bag. Not with satisfaction, with certainty. I didn't want revenge, I wanted truth, and truth has a way of showing up right on time. Monday was going to be very interesting. Monday morning arrived dressed like a celebration. The city buzzed with confidence. Headlines were cued. Investors filled the lobby with polished smiles and rehearsed praise. The company logo glowed on every screen like a promise that nothing could possibly go wrong. That's when the first call came, not to him, to legal, by 8:42 a.m. The elevators stopped running smoothly. Conversations dropped to whispers. Assistants walked faster. Phones rang and rang without answers. At 9:03 a.m., the board meeting was delayed. At 9:17, delayed again. By 9:24, panic had entered the room. The document had surfaced not dramatically, not with accusations or raised voices. It arrived the way truth always does, quietly, officially, and impossible to ignore. An original ownership contingency. Intellectual property protections tied to my authorship. Operational authority clauses that activated only if I was removed without mutual consent. All perfectly legal, all overlooked. The very safeguards he had once waved away now sat at the center of the table, stamped, signed, dated undeniable. By the time he realized what was happening, it was already too late. My phone rang again. This time I answered. "Where are you?" he asked, breathless. "At home." I said calmly, "You need to come in. There's been a misunderstanding." I almost smiled. "There hasn't," I replied. Silence followed, thick, frightened. "They're saying the launch can't proceed." He continued, voice cracking now. "The investors are asking questions. The board wants answers." I finished for him, "Yes, they will." I arrived an hour later. No grand entrance, no triumph, just a quiet walk through the same doors that had closed behind me days earlier. Heads turned, not with pity this time, but recognition. He was waiting in the conference room, the same one. Only now his confidence had evaporated. Papers scattered, jacket off, hands shaking slightly as he tried to hold on to control that had already slipped through his fingers. "You planned this?" he said when he saw me. I shook my head. No, I prepared for it. The board sat frozen as I placed the document on the table. "I didn't take this to hurt anyone," I said evenly. "I took it because I knew one day it might be needed." He stood abruptly. "Why are you doing this to me?" That's when I looked at him, not as an executive, not as a founder, but as my son. "I'm not," I said softly. "I didn't fire you. I didn't erase you. I didn't forget who built this." His face crumpled. "You did that," I continued, "when you decided love was a liability." No one spoke. The room understood. By noon, negotiations began, not about revenge, about correction, about acknowledgement, about restoring what had been quietly removed. The company survived. So did I. By the end of the day, the power balance had shifted. Not back to the beginning, but somewhere fair. Somewhere honest, somewhere earned. As I walked out that evening, he followed me. "I'm sorry," he said. For the first time, not as a CEO, but as a son. I paused. I didn't forgive him immediately. Some lessons need to sit a while. "I never wanted to control you," I said. "I just wanted you to remember me." He nodded, tears in his eyes. Monday had been fun, not because someone fell, but because the truth finally stood up, and this time it didn't need to raise its voice.